So, every time before I turn on the camera, I'm always a little nervous. And this time is no exception. Probably more than normal, though. So, I'm recording this video on Sunday, and normally I record it on Monday. Now, why am I recording it today? Well, I thought it would be a good day to talk about mental health. And you might wonder, why are we talking about mental health in a tech class or a tech, focused class? Because mental health is all around us all the time. It's our mental health, how we are dealing with the world. And for me, I just finished a kind of a frustrating time for me. I was working, I started, here's my process. This is coming in to week 13. You're finishing week 12. Well, last weekend, I started working on week 13, and I thought I had it pretty much ready. And so this last Friday, after I finished grading, which I'm grateful to have a little time after I finished grading, I picked it back up and I started looking, and it's the meteorite cleaning one that you're about to do. And I thought I had it pretty wrapped up, and I got to the end, and my data wasn't coming out right. And I was like trying different things, and I had appointments I had to do on Saturday, so I didn't get to focus my whole day, but I focused a bit of my day on Saturday. And then Sunday rolls around and I'm still not ready. And I can feel the stress because by now on Sunday I like to try to take a day off because I feel it's really important for my mental health to take a day off. Now, I do a lot of things for my mental health. I work out, I meditate, I eat good food, and I understand that I'm in a different position than other people related to this. For me, have prioritized my mental health. Now, even with all that, the stress was getting to me. It was really starting to pound. I could feel it affecting my sleep because sleep is way important to me. So I really had to kind of step back. And oftentimes, and this is something I feel like the tech community does not talk about enough, is that I could feel myself really kind of shaken by it. It's like, how in the world could I have messed this up? This seems so, in a sense, simple, but it wasn't. And part of what happened, by the way, I'll just tell you part of what happened was I was over cleaning the data. I cleaned it too much so that when the results that were expected were not coming out correctly, it was really kind of mine just to deal with. So for me, again, I stepped back. I did all the things I know I needed to do. The other thing is I just kept working at it. And here's the other thing I would tell you is that sometimes, and this has happened to me so many times in tech, is that I will spend way more time than I wanted to on a topic. And after I finished, there was a moment where it was like, oh man, what a time dump that was. But it never fails that something I walk away with learning is pretty deep and stays with me. And again, not that I want this for anybody because that's not the goal. We all have busy lives and we only have a certain amount of time to get something. That's why reaching out for help, right? And I know there's various ways besides reaching out to me to get help in this class, and we've talked about some of those things and the importance of them, but also the downside of them. And I ran into this as well. Because one thing I was doing, and you'll see this, and I'm going to give you an option on the Thursday night item to actually show me where you got the solution for that one. But anyway, so your reply this week, right? So and again, don't feel like you have to share anything about your own life, right? But is there anything you wanted to say? Right? And how do you maybe, and this could be something that you could help other students with, how do you manage your own mental health? Is there resources? Like we have resources on campus. I've had people tell me it's been hard to get into there because the amount of people needing to get in. So what we have to do is kind of navigate based on our world and where we're at. I know there's online resources, and those you have to, figure out if they work for you, for your time and your budget and all those other things. So if you don't want to talk about your own mental health, again, you don't have to, but some kind of reply, because this is part of not just tech, this is part of life, that these things happen and how do you navigate them. So that reply to me is half of it, and the other half is it replied to at least one, and you know, two would be better students in this case, right? So that's my topic for the week. And then I'm going to go over the week right now. I'm going to go review. I'm going to overview of the week itself. Okay, so I'm going to drop me for a minute. So on the first night, okay, you have the cleaning of the data, okay? So in this case, you're going to import, and then basically, oh, my report came out really bad. I just saw it. Oh, there we go. See? Okay, I'll figure out a way to make that report come out looking a little better because I just cut and pasted it. But actually, I'm going to show it to you in a minute. So by the time you see it, it might be just a graphics file. But in this case, you're going to clean the data. Okay, so create your new folder called meteorites. At the save level is no panic. Put your readme and create your import file. So you can go through this. I don't need to do this, but you're going to end up recreating my audit report. And then you're going to commit for each step, like S1, and I'm going to show you this in the format. And again, it'll look better. Then write your queries in here. So for S1, so there's in this case 7 steps for the cleaning that I ended up doing. Yeah, 7 steps here. That's crazy. Okay. See, I could let that get to my mental health because I spent so much time trying to show this in here, but that's okay too. All right. So now I'm going to show you my workflow because this is a workflow that the problem set. So that's the first thing is definitely look over this problem set. So you're given a CSV file. You're going to do some cleaning to it. So basically your cleaning steps, I've broken 1, 2, and 3 into multiple steps because it's really important. One of the critical things you're going to get from this week is cleaning data, but also creating audits. So because I'm telling you, this idea of cleaning data will come back around if you continue in this field some way or the other. So in this case, I show you how to create this audit report. And then for Thursday night, it'll be 4 and 5, where you basically do the insert and the reordering of that. Okay, so there is some advice down here for, you know, how to get organized. I think my audit report is basically that as well. So basically, we're doing the step, you know, our cleaning step is here. And then so actually, sorry, these two are Monday night items. So begin importing and then writing to clean, and then transferring is Thursday night. But what I ended up doing was something they recommended here, and I thought, you know what, this is really good because we talked about this in keyboard shortcuts last time, but this is workflow, and I think it's really helpful to have this. Okay, all right. So let me come back over here. But actually, let me bring back, here is my, I use a local dev environment, should very much look like what you have with CodeSpace, right? So what I'm going to do is I've already been playing around, and this is a very common thing, is like you are going to write your SQL in the import file, and then you're going to run that import file. And then what we've been doing up to this point has been creating a file, then creating a database file when we run SQL. But one of the things is this RM. So before I run the SQLite 3, with the reference to the import, I'll show you this, the cat, in a minute. So first I'm going to remove the file, remove the database. So that drops the database, not just drops in terms of the table, that's not, deletes it, right? So you could come over here and of course do it this way, but this just makes it so easy. And then I'm going to do this, is I'm going to run cat, right? And this is, again, what the recommendation here is, and it talks about what this is doing, right? So if you try this yourself, I just think it basically is running, and it uses these pipes to combine these together. It's going to run the import file, right? First it's going to run the SQLite with the database, the new database reference, and then it'll run the import file. So one command line here runs two really cool things. So for my case, right, and this is what I recommend for the workflow for both Monday night and Thursday night, is, right, so then you're going to end up, now I'm going to have you create, and I'll show you this. So this is the file, the audit file, you're going to end up recreating. Okay, and I used that as for all these headings, but on the items that I didn't have I couldn't use the as, I just used something called print, .print, and then open, closed, single quotes, and then whatever. So that's how I created these, right? Okay, so anyway, I will give that audit file better in there. You know, I think that what that is actually GitHub throwing that off, because if I was to look, see, now I'm just going to show you because I have to like, if I was to show this here locally, yeah, see, that comes out totally fine. So that's actually GitHub doing something to my file, and I will figure that out before you see it. Okay, all right, so coming back here, right? So then for coming back here, so what you will do is do the cleaning, right? So the 7 steps that I've given you, and basically you're recreating my audit file. So that audit file is a before and after. That I didn't really show you, so let's talk about that. So created the temp file. S1 is total number of records. So this is step 1, just how many records were imported, right? Step 2 is total records for mass updated. So where I got that is on the problem set, right? If I come in here, right? So again, this is all my 7 steps are these 3 steps broken into individual pieces. Okay, and then I want you to do, like, here's my step, and then what you do is you do an audit afterwards. So you have to write the queries to show that the updates that you did were successful. Okay, so you first have the using the as alias here to output. So here's a total number of records. There's my step 1, my step 2, my step 3. Okay, my step 4. So this gives you kind of a, you'll end up recreating this, then my cleaning is finished. Now this is for the whole thing, so then what you will do for Thursday night, right, is then you'll have, and this is where you'll read 4 and 5 to consider the data, right? So if I come back over here, so then you'll read through this, right? And what I want you to do is actually add, because we haven't done anything, I did have you do the proof of work. I'll talk about that in a minute. But in this case, I didn't have you do any on Monday night, anything in the README file. But in Thursday night, I do want you to think about, read 4 and 5 and consider what your plan would be for how to write them, how to write the query. Could be one, could be multiple. There's actually many approaches to that. Now, I say here, right, and after you feel like you understand, right, so first read it. See if you make sure you understand it, right, and then make sure you understand what is needed to write, how you will approach solving the ordering and inserting, right. If you're using outside resources, in this case, which is fine, but I definitely suggest you try it on your own first. If you are, then be specific on the prompts of the resources that you use, and then provide links for that. Okay, so now in this case, commit after each step. So there's really in here meteorites, so steps 8 and 9. It's just adding from the other ones, right? So you really will only have 2, actually 3, because it'll be my plan will be one of them as well. And then what you'll end up doing is finishing, right? So here's the end of what that audit file looks like. So I ended up providing you in here, and again, I'll have to fix it, but this is the entire audit file after you finish. Okay, I just in this example gave you what was needing to be added, right? So you added the creating the meteorites table, ordering and inserting, outputting the first 10 records, and this gives you what that needs. It gives you your checkpoint. So does, by the way, all the other amount of records that you would need. Okay, so just to be clear, on the first one at the end, you will output right, and I actually showed that last week, how to also, you can do it the old-fashioned way, or you can modify the command line to also output running cat as well. Okay, but you have to have at least up to there for your point proof of work 1, and then here, right, what you'll do at the end is you'll delete it and then recreate it right? So first delete it and then create it for the entire report. Okay, and I did adjust the points a little bit here because it's not so many commits, and what's really important is in this case all the queries and the proof of work file. Okay, all right, so I think that's it for, let's come back here. It's so funny, even in talking about that and looking at it not coming out the way I wanted, it's like, but I had to kind of let it go. I'll figure it out. So the last thing I'm going to say here is that this is something I'm going to end up doing not as kind of an additional incentive for folks who haven't signed up for the technical interview. If by Monday, the November 18th, okay, so that's not the week of it, but I think it's the week before Thanksgiving, I'm going to go ahead and place a grade if you have not signed up for the tech interview. Because at this point, and again, you know how much it is, but I want you to know how it's going to affect your grade if you don't get in there. And again, my concern is that as we get towards the end of the semester, my schedule becomes more challenging to get into. So I really am just trying to encourage students along the way to get in, and that's what that will be. Again, even if I put it in there, doesn't mean you can't do it. I just want you to know the effects of not doing it on your overall grade. All right, so that's your week 13. Have a good one.